Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today I am starting a new topic, that is ReFramework. I will make a series of videos on this topic, and I will not just explain it, but I will create a ReFramework process from the scratch. After watching all the videos, you won't have any doubt, at least in the ReFramework. So without further delay, let's start. So in the screen, what you can see, it is the ReFramework. So in the ReFramework, it have 4 states and 7 transitions. You can see it is initialization, get transaction data, process transaction data, end process, and all these transitions. So it may look like a little bit complex, but after watching this video it won't look like. So let me go to the this home panel and let me take a process. So I'll name it create ReFramework. Description, I'll give create an ReFramework from the scratch. So in this new process I will build the ReFramework from the scratch. So ReFramework is based on state machine. So let me take a state machine from here. Let me rename it as ReFramework. So if you don't know about the state machine, then don't worry, in this video you will able to understand all the things. So a state machine has a start, it has state, it has final state. So let me search here as state machine. So a state machine should have state and final state. Okay, so as you know, ReFramework has 4 states. So I have taken 2, copy it, 3 and 4. So I have taken the 4 states. Now let me arrange it in a way so that it looks better. So let me take the start here. Here it will be so this still will be initialization. Here we will give the get transaction data, it will be process transaction data, and at last it will be end state. Okay, so the process will start from here. Okay, so this state, let me rename it as initialization. Initialization. Okay, so in the initialization correctly, in the initialization block, what bot does, bot reads the config file and it opens the all the applications that bot will use later on. So this is the work of the initialization. Okay, I'll show all the things that how it reads the config files, how it opens all the applications in the next videos. So in the initialization state, so there could be 2 conditions, that bot has initialized all the things successfully, it has read the config files and it opened the all the applications correctly. So if all the things goes well, then bot will go to the next state. So what is the next state? Next state is get transaction data. get transaction data. So in the get transaction data, bot will get the transaction data from the queue. Let me, after get transaction data, bot will process the transaction data, process transaction. So the transaction that bot got from the get transaction, it will process it, and at the end bot will do the what will go to the end state. So in the end state, bot can send the email to the business, and the all the applications those we have opened in the process state or in the initialization state, all the process those applications will be closed in the end state. So where we were, so that to understand this framework we need some variables also. So let me create the variables first. So what are the variables that ReFramework has? The first variable we'll create is config. So what is the config variable type? So config variable is type of dictionary, and a dictionary of string and object. So let me take a dictionary. So I will get it. We'll get it from here. System.private.corelive, system.collection.generic. Here dictionary of string and object. Yeah, this one, system.private.corelive. Okay. Okay. So we got the config. Now the next variable we'll take is transaction item. Transaction item. So this transaction item will be of queue type because we will use queue. So in the get transaction, bot will get the transaction item as a queue item. So let me choose the variable type as queue item. Okay. This one, uipath.core.queue item. Okay. So I have got the transaction item. Let me take another variable, transaction number. Transaction number to track the transaction, which transaction bot is working. So it should be of integer. Okay. Next variable that we'll take is system exception. So if bot gets any system exception, then we'll store it in the system exception variable, and the type of this variable will be of system exception. System exception. System exception. This one, private.corelive. Okay. And the variable will take business exception. We will store the business rule exceptions in the business exception variable. Let me take the variable type. So variable type for this one will be business rule exception. Business rule exception. Okay. So to understand this transitions and the states, this much of variables will be enough. So let me go here. So in the initialization, if bot doesn't get any system exception or business exception, then it will go to the get transaction state. So I will rename the transaction T1 as success. So initialization is success. So initialization success means what is the condition for successful initialization? That should be business exception should be nothing and system exception should also be nothing. So let me write it here. Business exception is nothing, and also system exception is nothing. Okay, so if system business exception is nothing and system exception is nothing, then bot will go to the transaction data. So here I can use a log message to actually log it that. So here what I can write, no system or business exception, business exception. So going to the get transaction state, okay. So I can track it that when it is going to the get transaction state. Okay, so another condition could be that while initialization bot got some error, maybe while reading the config file or opening the initial applications, bot got some error. So if in the initialization state bot got some error, then there is no there is no way that we go to the further states, right? So if in the initialization state itself bot gets some error, then the it will go to the directly end state, that it got some error, so it will not process further. So let me rename it that system exception, because in the initialization state it will not get any business exception, because business exception will bot will get only while processing the transaction data. System exception. Okay, so if bot got any system exception, that means here we will write system exception is not nothing. Okay, so if system exception is not nothing, then it will go to the end state. So let me log it here. Bot got system exception in the initialization state. Going to end state. Okay, so we can set the log label as fatal, because in the initialization itself bot got some error. Okay, so in the initialization there could be two possibilities only, that everything is fine, everything is successful, then it will go to the get transaction state, or in the initialization state it has got some system exception, then it will go to the end state. Okay, so let's assume in the initialization state everything is successful, then it will go to the get transaction state. So in the get transaction state bot will get the transaction data from the queue. Okay, so here also there could be two possibilities, that bot got the transaction from the queue. In that case it will go to the process transaction state, so to process that transaction. Another possibility that could be that there is bot didn't found any transaction, so all the transactions are completed already. So in that case, if bot has not got any new transaction, then it will go to the end state, okay, to send the report to the business and to close all the applications. Okay, so let me take that. So it could be two possibilities, that in the process state. So when it will go to the process state, when there will be, so let me rename it first, new transaction data, new transaction data. So bot got some new transaction data. So what will be the condition for new transaction data? The transaction item is not nothing, is not nothing. Okay, so if transaction is now not nothing, means there is some transaction item. So in that case, bot will go to the process state to process that transaction. So let me use a log message here also. It will be a trace. Bot found new transaction or new data going to the process transaction state. Okay, so this is done. Now the next possibility, what I have said, that there is no new data. So in that case, what will go to the end state? So give me the rename, let me rename it. No new data, no new data. Okay, no new data means transaction item will be nothing, transaction item is nothing. Okay, so if transaction item is nothing, then it will go to the end state. So let me use a log message here also. New transaction item, new transaction found going to the process state, okay. So this is also done. So from in the get transaction state, there could be only two possibilities. Bot has found some data, in that case it will go to the process state to process that data. Second case is there is no data in the queue, so it will go to the end state. That means all the transaction data are completed. Okay, so let's say bot has found some transaction, so it will come to this process transaction state. Now in the process transaction state, there could be three possibilities. One is bot is successfully processed the new transaction. So in that case, what bot will do? Bot will go to the get transaction data to get the next transaction, right? So bot has processed the transaction successfully, so it will go to the get transaction data to get the new transaction again. Okay, so name it as success. So bot has successfully completed the transaction, so it will go to the get transaction data for getting the new transaction data. So here what will be the condition? The condition will be there is no system exception or business exception. So if system exception is nothing and also business exception is nothing. Okay, so if there is no system exception or business exception in the process state, that means bot has successfully completed that particular transaction. So in that case, bot will go to the get transaction data to get the next transaction. Let me use a log here also. Successfully completed the transaction going to the get transaction data state, get transaction data state, okay, for the next transaction item. Okay, so one possibility is everything is successful, it will go to the get transaction data. Another possibility is a business exception. So if bot found any business exception in the process, then it will update the transaction as business exception in this process state itself. After that, what it will go? It will go to the get transaction data again to get the new transaction. So for business exception, if you know, the business exceptions are the exceptions that are set by the BU, the condition set by the BU. So there is no issue on that. So it will set the status as business exception and it will process further. It will go for the next transaction item. So let me rename it as business exception. Business exception. So what is the condition for business exception? Business exception is not nothing. So business exception is not nothing means it has got some business exception. So in that case, it will go to the get transaction data warning, give it as warning, and let me use log messages. Business exception found going to the transaction data state, get transaction data state. Okay, so this was the second possibility, that it could get some business exception. Okay, now the third possibility is in the process transaction data, while processing, bot has encountered some system exception. So in that case, system exception means bot has found some error while opening any applications or working with the applications. Maybe the application did not load on time. So in those cases, bot what will do? Bot will go to the initialization state. So bot will close all the, sorry, in the process state, bot will first close, for if bot got any system exception, bot will close all the exceptions in the process state, and then it will go to the initialization. So in the initialization, again it will open all the applications. After that, it will go to the get transaction data, then again it will process. Okay, so if bot get any system exception in the process, then it will go to the initialization again. So let me give it as system exception. What is the condition? System exception is not nothing. In this case, bot will go to the initialization state. Let me use a log message here. Error bot encountered system exception, where it will go going to the initialization state. Initialization state. Okay, let me just better so that it looks better. So you see, It was so simple. So in the initialization state, if bot get any system exception, then it will go to the end state. Or if there was everything fine, everything was successfully opened, then bot will go to the get transaction state. So in the get transaction state, there could be two possibilities. Bot found some data, it will go to process that particular data. Bot has not found any data, so in that case bot will go to the end state. So while processing, bot can encounter three scenarios. One is bot has successfully processed that particular transaction. In that case, bot will go to the get transaction data to get the next transaction. Second case, business exception. In that case, bot will go to the get transaction data to get the next transaction. If bot encounters any system exception, then in that case, bot will go to the initialization state. So that's it guys for this video. I hope you understood the ReFramework structure. Okay, so we'll meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Happy automation. Thank you.